It was supposed to be a quick trip to pick up dinner, but sometimes taking the stairs instead of it's the kind of stop you make without thinking. Fill up your tank, grab a drink, keep driving. But on this night, pulling into the gas station was the last normal thing he'd remember for a very long time. You're watching the Untold Archive, where the scariest stories are all true. Subscribe now. And let's begin. In the summer of 2010, Daniel, a 35-year-old delivery driver from Seattle, was making a late-night run from Spokane back to his company's warehouse on the western side of Washington. The route cut through the Cascade Mountains, hours of winding, forested highway with long stretches where you wouldn't see another vehicle. By the time he hit the halfway mark, it was close to 1 a.m. His gas tank was hovering just above empty, and his eyelids were heavy. He decided to pull into the next station he could find. A green and white sign appeared in the dark. Last stop before Summit, 2 miles. Daniel took the exit and found himself rolling into a small, rural gas station. Fluorescent lights buzzed over the pumps. The store inside was lit, with big glass windows displaying rows of snacks and travel supplies. A handwritten sign taped to the door read, "Open 24 hours." It felt almost too normal. Almost. He pulled up to the pump, swiped his card, and began fueling. The night was still. The only sounds were the hum of the lights and the soft rush of fuel into his tank. When he finished, he decided to head inside for a cup of coffee. The automatic door slid open with a chime, and that's when he realized something was wrong. Inside, the place was completely empty. No cashier at the counter, no other customers. The register drawer was open, not just ajar, but pulled all the way out. Crumpled bills and coins sat in plain view. Next to the till was a styrofoam cup of coffee, steam still curling from the surface. It hadn't been sitting there long. Daniel called out, "Hello? Anyone here?" No answer. He took a few slow steps toward the counter, and that's when he noticed it. A faint trail of wet footprints behind the register. Barefoot, leading to the back of the store. The footprints stopped at a door marked "Employees Only." The door was half open, swinging slightly. Daniel's gut tightened. Every instinct screamed to leave. He stepped backward toward the entrance, but his curiosity made him glance through the crack in that door. Behind it was a short hallway. At the end, a steel fire exit door, pushed open just enough for a shaft of moonlight to spill in. That's when he saw them. The same wet footprints, continuing out the door and into the thick, black outline of forest. Daniel turned on his heel and walked quickly back outside, climbing into his van. As he drove out of the lot, he kept glancing in the rear view mirror. The gas station looked exactly as it had when he'd arrived. Bright lights, silent, the coffee cup still sitting there. But now, knowing what he'd seen inside, the light felt unnatural, stage-lit like a set. An hour later, after crossing the mountain pass, he stopped at a rest area and debated whether to call the police. He didn't have to. 2 days later, Washington State Patrol detectives contacted his employer. They told him that the gas station had been the scene of an abduction just minutes before he arrived. The overnight clerk, a 42-year-old man named Leonard Mills, had been taken from behind the counter by a masked suspect. The attack happened so fast that the clerk didn't have time to trigger the silent alarm. The wet footprints Daniel had seen, they belonged to Leonard. The suspect had forced him out the back and into the forest, where investigators later found drag marks in the mud. The steaming coffee? Leonard's, poured just before the attack. The suspect's truck had been captured on security cameras at a nearby intersection, leaving the station less than 3 minutes before Daniel pulled in. Police eventually found Leonard alive, tied up in a makeshift shelter deep in the woods. The suspect, a man with a long history of violent offenses, was arrested later that month. Daniel still drives the Cascades route sometimes, but he never stops at rural gas stations after dark. When a place feels wrong, he told reporters, there's usually a reason. You've just heard another chilling story from the Untold Archive, where the truth is darker than fiction. If you want more stories like these, subscribe now, turn on notifications, and join us every other day as we dig up the cases most people would rather forget. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.